there, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Doug, and I'm back with yet another in an endless stream of fountain pen related videos. They're only endless because I keep ordering these things. Today I've got a much anticipated new model of PenBBS pen. This is the PenBBS 323, and this one is a unique shape. I think I don't know of any other pen that has exactly this shape and style, and I thought it looked very unique and might be interesting in the hand, so I thought I'd give it a try. Here's my typical package from PenBBS. I've already cut this open, but let's take a look at what's inside. We have the typical box filled with foam. And if we dig down here, we'll see, there we go. Always get a cat sticker. And I'm not sure which cat this is. This might be Nyango. There's 3 cats apparently in the shop. And I can't pronounce her name, Benyi, that runs the Etsy shop for PenBBS. And there's a number of cats apparently. And there's 2 that have their, well, there's 3 that actually have pens named after them. One is Nyango, one is Amber, and I can't remember the last one. I'll put it up on the screen here. But interesting colors. This looks like Nyango here. I haven't got a Nyango pen. I'll have to get one. Anyway, that's always nice to get one of those. And here is the pen. Let's put the box aside. And here is the white sleeve with the code 323, the model number, and 0010, which I believe is the color code, and this one is Black Tortoise. Take the white sleeve off, and we get the typical cardboard PenBBS box with PenBBS embossed on the cover. It's got a magnetic flap, and inside we find the pen. Get that pen out, and just to let you know that it comes with this foam, but there's also this little elastic at the bottom that you can always tuck the pen into and put the foam on top if you want to ship it or you want to send it as a gift or whatever, and you don't want it rattling around in there. So let's take a look. Let's get the pen out of its pen condom here. Throw that away. And there is the pen. PenBBS 323. No clip. This one is translucent. You might not be able to see it. Well, if we get close enough, you might be able to see that it's slightly translucent. And it has a slightly purple kind of a tone to it, this black. So I've decided to pair it up with the Diamine Bilberry, which is a deep purple, which I really, really like. And it has a bit of a sheen to it as well when it dries. But this pen has a very interesting shape. It has this clipless cap, which sort of expands outwards in a nice curve here and then back down to where it meets the body. And there's a very little step there, so it's very elegant looking. And then it flares out again into a kind of a bulb, and then gets narrow, and then flares out again at the other end. And it goes to a point right here and a point right there. It's a very minimalist look. And I'm going to be interested to write with this. Let's see how many turns it takes. It's hard to tell when there's no clip. 1, 2, and 2. Just about 2. A little bit. This pen does not post. It's not designed to post. And if you put that down on your desk, be careful that you put it down like that. Otherwise it'll roll away. So here is the section, And the nib, this is a fine nib. PenBBS since 2005, of course, and an F for fine and China. This is one of those bent fine nibs that I've become so fond of. Those of you that are watching my previous video of the new model 480 that I just got, the Galaxy, I've just been gushing about that pen. And I've been writing with it for a couple weeks now, and it's just amazing. So I'm hoping this one is as nice, but I'm really liking these slightly upturned bent nibs from PenBBS. In fact, I just received this today as well. I purchased on eBay a couple of these bent nibs from Bobby, and they aren't the same. They aren't PenBBS. I can't really read that. I'll put it up on the screen once I get my magnifier on it. But I've got one of these in my Moonman C1, and I just love it. But it is that bent nib, slightly upturned, fine bent nib that the PenBBS have. Here, let's look at that. So what does that say? Shui Yao, something like that. I don't speak Chinese. But it looks to be almost identical. In fact, you would say that pattern, except for the branding, is exactly the same. They're exactly the same size. Are they? Nope, this one's a bit smaller. Anyway, they are sort of number 6 size, and I'm going to try this in my Moonman's M600 and the second one in my M600S Star Blue. And I'm going to do a separate video on those two nibs and see how they work. But let's look at a comparison with my Galaxy 480 and compare those nibs. The nibs are identical, but the sections are different. This is interesting. The section has the same kind of concave feeling and shape and everything that the 480 has, without the metal ring, but it also has a little lip right there. And the same feeds, of course. Put that aside. This is an eyedropper. It comes with a converter, the typical PenBBS standard international converter. And I'll put that aside because I'm going to eyedropper this. And when you look through this, it should have one of those inside LED lights like Chris has. But I think the ink goes all the way down to about there. I'm going to measure out exactly how much ink goes inside this pen to see. And I'm going to put some silicone grease on there, but there's the little silicone ring that allows you to eyedropper this pen. So in that way, it's identical to the 480. Let's take a look at this pen. I'll get out my scales and my calipers, and we'll put up some measurements on the screen. Next, we'll do some size comparisons. Okay, here we are back with some size comparisons. Here is the 323. This is a Visconti Van Gogh. This is a Pilot Metropolitan. And this is the PenBBS 480. Now I'm going to take this pen, clean it all out with a little bit of soap and water, and ink it up with some Diamine Bilberry, and come back with a writing sample. So let's give this pen a try. This is the PenBBS PenBBS 323. And this one is a fine nib. It is the black tortoise. I don't quite know what tortoise is about it because there's no variation at all. It's just a solid color. The ink here is diamine, bilberry, and this is extremely smooth. I have not done anything to the nib at all. I've not spread the tines. Let's see how wet it is. It looks very wet to me. Yeah, that's very wet. And smooth. Did I say it's smooth? It is smooth. Let's do the writing sample. Wow, this is fabulous. This feels just as smooth as my 480. So PenBBS seems to be batting 1,000 so far on these nibs. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to write with this for a couple of days, and then I'll come back and I'll do an evaluation. Since this is a new model for me, I want to write with it and feel how it writes over an extended period of time. That so far feels very, very comfortable. I find I can put my thumb on this bulbous part of the body of the pen and my fingers here on the concave section, and it's very comfortable with that small part sitting just in the crook of my hand. So we'll come back in a couple of days and do an evaluation. Oh, it seems to be drying out. Well, these are the things I'm going to find out over a couple of days. See whether the pen has any issues when we write with it for a period of time. See you in 48. Okay, I'm back after a couple of days of writing with this PenBBS 323, and I'm ready to do an evaluation. I really like this pen, there's no question. But let's look at it in these categories. We're going to look at it overall design and build, writing and feel, the overall look, and the overall value of the pen. So each one of these categories is going to be scored out of 4 for a total out of 16. So first off, let's look at the design and build of this pen. I think it's very elegant. It's unique. There are other pens out there. I said I didn't know whether there were any, but I've put a few in the video that are close to this kind of design, and there are some custom-made pens that you can get like this as well. But I think it's very elegant. It's well turned, smooth, flawless, nice points. It has a great feel to it. But there's a couple of features that I think would make it a limit for some pen users. First off, there's no clip. Okay, we know that there's no clip. When you bought it, that you knew there was no clip. I've actually purchased a ring, which I mentioned earlier, that I'm going to put on this to keep it as a roll stop. The one thing, if you're not even using the clip, the clip does function as a roll stop. So, for example, with the 480, that clip comes right out of the acrylic up in here. So I'm wondering whether they could do something with a clip that would come along here that you could use, even just to function as a roll stop, to keep it from rolling off the desk. Because when you're using it, of course, the other design flaw is that it doesn't post. Now, I don't tend to post my pens, but when you've got a cap that doesn't have a clip on it, what do you do with the cap? So it just rolls off your desk unless you set it up like this. So if it did have a clip or a roll stop, it would solve all the problems there. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 4 for design and build. The build overall is very good. It looks professional, everything works, the lines are clean, there's no flaws. It's a beautiful looking pen. As far as the writing experience, however, I've written with it for a couple of days now, and it is very, very smooth. And I'm really, really enjoying the feel of this, mainly because I can write with it almost in any position. I might be not on camera here. I can write with it high, I can write with it low, and as you write with it for any length of time, I found that I've changed my grip on it, and the grip can change, and it's very easy to do. So I'm really enjoying this writing experience. Of course, the nib is very, very smooth. However, I've been experiencing some hard starts. Now, it hasn't hard started on me here, but when I wait a minute or two while I'm thinking or something like that, I've had some hard starts. I'm thinking, however, this might not be the pen's fault. It might be the diamine bilberry ink that's in here that's causing that, because I had the same issue with my 308, PenBBS 308 Cedar with the same ink. It would hard start. And since I've replaced that ink with something else, I haven't experienced that again. So, so it might be the ink, but time will tell on that. So I'm just going to give it a 3.5 out of 4 for the writing feel experience there. The overall look, this is just a dynamite looking pen. So, and I really like this this black, smoky gray black look on this pen. I might actually go out and get a demonstrator version of this, the very clear one. Then it'll sort of rival my Moonman M2s. I have a couple of those because the pen takes on the color of the ink. Overall value has to be a 4 out of 4 because this pen was $13.99 US plus shipping. Where can you get a bargain like this? This pen writes so beautifully, and even with these other flaws here, it's an enormous bargain as far as I'm concerned. So, overall, we have 14 out of 16. Yay, good for you, pen. Again, as always, thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.